Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's episode, I'm here to talk to you about why you must start a business and how your education, your degree, could potentially be holding you back. All right. So, now, of course, if you stick along and watch until the end of this video, I am going to tell you how exactly you can start any business at all without capital. Because I know by the time you tell people to start a business, the next thing they're going to say is they're going to talk about capital limitations and all of these things. But here in today's episode, I'm here to talk to you about how you can start any business at all without startup capital and why you must start a business today. So let's get into it. You see, I woke up this morning and I was thinking about poverty in Africa and mass unemployment. And I began to think about the history of it, where it started from. And I also thought about my friends from back in the days when I was in the university, where, because I was in school, it was quite a distance from town, Ado Ekiti back then, because I went to Ekiti State University. So I had friends that I would go over to see in town. I would go over to town, I would greet them, I would, spend time with them. And they were all into business. They were businessmen. So I was in school with my friends that, of course, we were attending classes together. And then I had friends that we were, I would go to town to see. Of course, we attended fellowship together. It was just me and my friends back then. So I noticed something. My friends who were in business did not have the opportunity to go to school like we did. But then I started speaking with them recently, and I spoke with a very good friend of mine from back in the day. He's quite older, but he's a very good friend of mine. Um, so I spoke with him, and we're recounting, we're just talking about business and all of those things, and he's doing fantastic. When I mean fantastic, I mean fantastic. So, and of course, I spoke with a couple of other guys who were doing very well as well in business, and it had me thinking about the type of education that we are really exposed to here in Africa. And I came to one conclusion: the education that you and I are exposed to, are encouraged to go and get, the university education, prepares you for one thing and one thing alone: to be an employee. Now, while that is not a bad thing by itself, while it's not a bad thing to be anybody's employee, it also clips your productive wings. So if you were meant to be, in fact, the true definition of an economy is production. Any economy, the true definition of an active economy, of what makes an economy, is the ability to produce goods and services and actually sell those goods and services. That is what an economy is. Many people go to school, and when they are done with 4 or 5 years of education in a university, at that point you realize that the degree you have is not a very productive one. You can't produce anything. So what happens? They then go back and actually begin to learn a skill. Why? So that they can begin to produce. So can you see that there is a very, very big flaw in our educational system? And the ultimate source of poverty in Africa is the education. That is the ultimate source of poverty. Don't look elsewhere. Don't look for it elsewhere. The ultimate source of poverty is in education. That's what's causing the poverty. Because the system has told everyone that we all have to go to a university, and then the entire population pours towards that direction. And meanwhile, the university system is simply there to profit the elites and profit the guys who set it up. The people who, the state and private individuals and people who set up these institutions, and even and institutions who set up institutions, know it's a profitable venture. You pay billions of naira every year in school fees, and by the time you get out, nobody owes you a job. Let's say, for instance, the system was mandated to give you a job whenever you come out, or the system mandated the graduates to have a job, or the schools to give the students a job. There won't be as many universities. But who cares? What matters is that you bring your school fees, the lecturers have a job, the people who run the institution, they pay the lecturers pennies, and then they take in all the rest, and that's it. That is why, as a person, I always tend to look at things, and I want to look at it in a certain direction. I want to look in a certain way. I don't want to see the way every other person sees it, because that's the only way my mind can be open. So when you look at the educational system, you have to understand how heavily flawed it is. So if you're not going to school to study medicine, to study nursing, to study engineering, to study law, Are these 4 courses, or study how to become an accountant? If you're not going to school to study these key courses, you should not be there. Trust me, you should not be there. If you're going to school, you're studying guidance and counseling, you're studying a whole bunch of stuff that you hear. Educational management, they invent a whole lot of things. Early childhood psychology, early childhood education, a whole lot of things that they invent and throw into the system. And then we have people who actually go to study these things being completely unproductive. You've been in school for 4 years, no production. What can you produce? So recently I set out to start a physical business because, I mean, if you know me, you know I'm a trader. So recently I felt like, okay, you know what? I need to start a physical business to diversify the income, to actually get my hands dirty on business and actually be in the field and do physical business. I mean, don't take away, I'm still going to be trading. Fantastic career for me. Definitely I'm going to be trading, but as I get money from trading, I want to put it in a physical business as opposed to, just throwing it at things, put it in a physical business, invest in a physical business. I began to think about the fact that I want to start a business. And then I now realized that really, I don't even know about any physical business. There's no physical. So every business that I'm going to now get involved in or get into requires mentorship. That is just the truth. If I'm going to start any business, it requires me to actually go and learn how to do that business. I have to learn the skill of doing that business. I have to learn the craft of doing that business. So it now dawned on me that, okay, yes, while I might be an expert in finance, have good knowledge of trading, I provide trading education, all of these things, to actually do a physical business, I have to go and learn how to do that business. And that business that you're going to learn by itself is a form of education. That's education by itself. So you have a young man who's running a business. He's the accountant of that business. He's the marketer. He keeps the record. He does everything. He provides the sales. Maybe at some point he has one sales girl on the line, all of these things. But you have a young man who's an all-rounder, and he has mastered different aspects of that business. He has mastered the accounting that concerns him. He has mastered the marketing that concerns him. He has mastered the client and customer relationship that concerns him. So the thing is, how do we then qualify something and say that is not education or that is illiterate? Because, in fact, when I was speaking with my friend, back, who is in Ado-Ekiti doing business and doing very well, he told me the amount of money that he had spent building his plaza, and it was a fantastic number. And this is someone who started business years ago with I remember clearly, it was at least 10 times less. It's not 10 times less, it's 100 times less. What he had spent building his plaza is 100 times less than what he had when he came out serving his boss. It's 100 times less. So he came out, started doing business. 10 years down the line, he's able to do so much. But then we have people who have gone to school, who have become graduates 10 years down the line, no job. Now, it goes a long way to tell you that that certificate you're carrying is not a ticket. It does not confer on you the ability to be a producer, but it is actually the skill of knowing a business or knowing a trade or craft that makes you a productive person. And there is no way you can get money outside of production. The only people that are allowed to get money outside of production is central banks. They can just print money. Governments. They can print money, cause inflation, and that's it. But that's a different type of economics. But you and I, individuals and corporations, we are not allowed to be productive or to generate money or to get rich outside of a productive activity. You must produce something. You must be selling something. You must be selling a skill. You must be selling a service. You must be selling goods, or you must be producing goods. And if we live in an economy like Nigeria, where the economic environment is not favorable enough for production, for real production of goods and services, due to a lot of overhead costs and, direct and indirect costs that you have to incur in running the business, then we should be selling goods and services. Because if you have a child that you are raising, a teenager, a young adult that you are raising, I would encourage you, if they are not going to go to the university to study any of the 5 courses I mentioned earlier, send them over to learn a skill. Let them be done with secondary school. Let them have the ability to read, write, and comprehend. Let them have the ability to do certain things, but send them over to learn a skill. That is the only way to beat poverty, because you cannot explain to me how suddenly Africa is classified as being so poor. Meanwhile, unemployment is a new term. In ancient times, in ancient worlds, we had people who were farmers, we had people who were blacksmiths, we had people who were into different aspects of production. All of these people came together to contribute to the economy, and there was no such thing as unemployment. So why is it that now that we've moved to the university era, and the truth is now institutions have seen what is going on. They know. If our lecturers will tell you, they know that the certificates, the papers, it's just papers. The lecturers know that the certificate you're getting does not confer on you the ability to be a producer, the ability to be a producer and to be an income earner. It does not. What if you're unable to get the bank job? What's going to happen? You're going to be useless? Think about, just imagine you lived in an era where universities did not exist. What would you be doing? You would still survive. You would engage in productive activity. You would do something. I want to let you know today that going forward, you really, really, really need to engage in productive activity. You need to learn a skill. You need to learn business. You need to get into business. If I see anyone who is still trying to write jam to get into school, I'm really wondering, the whole vast majority of the people who went to school, who did these things, they are not actively engaged in anything. Many of them, a significant portion of the graduates that come out of Nigeria are unemployed. And the ones who have gone to school and come out have dropped the certificate to actually go back to the real thing. Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You've seen this thing. It's like you've seen, for some reason you think yours is just going to be different. Well, maybe if you have connections and family that can get you a job, maybe you should go there. Maybe you should be there. So, no hard feelings. The source of poverty is actually in education. The people, we have a government that is, we're not talking about the government today, but you can save yourself if you learn a skill and start a business or start whatever. Don't tell me about capitals. Don't tell me about startup capital. There's what you call affiliate marketing. In Igbo language, it's called Igbo Safia, where you start selling goods. You could go to a dealer. You could go to someone who has the goods already in the shop, and you simply mark up some of the goods there, and you begin to post it on social media now. That's how it works. I remember when I used to do that in Benin. I mean, there was a friend of mine that had a boutique. I would go over to his shop. I would take pictures of plenty clothes. And the next thing, I'll post it online. I'll go to Gigi back then. I'll post it. I'll just post it online. Take pictures of clothes, post it online, see what I get. So you can't tell me that many of the people today started from nothing. In fact, when I first moved to Lagos and I was into cars, I did not have any money to buy cars of my own. So what was I doing? I head over to Car Shop, take pictures of cars, post it online. That's what I was doing. So money is not an excuse to start doing business. Whatever business you start, you're going to need time to build a brand around it. You're going to need time to start it. You're going to need time to grow the business. But eventually, you cannot do it for 5 years and not see the reward. So I really wish you good luck out there. Go out and start a business. Go out and become productive, because that is the only way money comes. Not from tapping screen. Ta 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 ta. Doesn't work that way.